Welcome to Simple Understanding channel. In this video, we move to the fourth and final section of the Certified Fraud Examiner exam, Fraud Prevention and Deterrence. This section many candidates underestimate, but examiners do not. While the previous modules teach you how fraud is committed and investigated, this module teaches you how fraud is prevented before it happens, and how organizations build systems that reduce pressure, block opportunity, and break rationalization. This section covers how fraud risk is created inside organizations, how ethical culture is formed, how internal controls work as a deterrent, how whistleblowing systems function, how management and boards carry responsibility, how behavior reveals risk, and how prevention programs are designed, monitored, and evaluated. The 15 core topics of this module include fraud triangle versus fraud diamond, pressure, opportunity, and rationalization in practice, occupational fraud classifications, tone at the top and ethical culture, internal controls as deterrence, not detection, segregation of duties failures, fraud risk assessment methodology, anti-fraud programs and controls, whistleblower systems and hotlines, role of management versus board oversight, continuous monitoring techniques, behavioral red flags in employees, white-collar crime psychology, CFE Code of Professional Ethics, and measuring the effectiveness of fraud prevention programs. On Simple Understanding channel, you will find a complete free CFE course that covers all 4 sections, all modules, and all high-yield topics, explained in clear and simple language with practical examples, so you can truly grasp the key concepts, not just memorize them. And for those who want a full structured preparation, the link in the description contains our complete CFE study packages. Bundle 1 includes a complete study guide covering all 4 sections, including all mathematical and financial calculations you need for the exam. Bundle 2 includes more than 3,500 multiple-choice questions covering conceptual, scenario-based, legal, and quantitative topics, all with detailed answer explanations. Bundle 3 includes more than 1,300 flashcards with key terms and definitions. These bundles are designed to make you fully ready to pass the CFE exam from the first attempt. Also remember that all videos on Simple Understanding channel have closed captions and dubbed audio in many languages. Do not forget to turn on subtitles by clicking the CC icon so you can watch this video in your preferred language. Now let us begin today's lesson and start with the first 5 core topics of fraud prevention and deterrence.
1. Fraud triangle versus fraud diamond. The fraud triangle explains that fraud occurs when 3 elements exist: pressure, opportunity, and rationalization. The fraud diamond adds a 4th element, capability, meaning the fraudster must also have the skills, authority, and confidence to exploit the opportunity. The CFE exam frequently tests this comparison because it explains not only why fraud happens, but who is most capable of committing it. Pressure creates motivation. Opportunity allows access. Rationalization justifies the act, and capability determines whether the person can actually execute and conceal the fraud. In real organizations, many employees experience pressure and rationalization, but only a few have system access, technical knowledge, and authority to override controls. For example, a senior accountant under financial pressure who understands the accounting system and has approval authority is far more capable of committing financial statement fraud than a junior clerk. 2. Pressure, opportunity, and rationalization in practice. Pressure may come from financial problems, performance targets, lifestyle demands, or organizational expectations. Opportunity arises from weak controls, poor oversight, or excessive trust. The exam tests your ability to recognize how these 3 forces interact in real scenarios. For example, A manager under pressure to meet profit targets may notice weak review of journal entries and convince themselves that temporary manipulation is acceptable to save the company. The combination of stress, access, and self-justification creates the environment where fraud becomes possible. 3. Occupational fraud classifications. Occupational fraud is classified into asset misappropriation, corruption, and financial statement fraud. Asset misappropriation involves theft of cash or property. Corruption involves abuse of influence, such as bribery and conflicts of interest. And financial statement fraud involves manipulation of reports to mislead users. The exam expects you to understand how these categories differ in frequency, impact, and detection methods. In practice, asset misappropriation is the most common, but usually involves smaller losses, such as skimming or payroll fraud. Financial statement fraud is less frequent, but causes the largest losses, often destroying companies and investor trust. Corruption schemes fall between the two in both frequency and damage. 4. Tone at the top and ethical culture. Tone at the top refers to the ethical example set by senior management and the board. The exam emphasizes that controls alone cannot prevent fraud if leadership tolerates unethical behavior. An ethical culture influences employee behavior, reporting willingness, and compliance with policies. In real cases, organizations where executives manipulate results, ignore conflicts of interest, or punish whistleblowers create a culture where fraud is normalized. Conversely, leaders who enforce transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct reduce rationalization and encourage early reporting. 5. Internal controls as deterrence, not detection. Internal controls are designed primarily to prevent fraud by making it difficult to commit and conceal, not merely to detect it after it occurs. The exam focuses on authorization, segregation of duties, access controls, reconciliations, and independent review as mechanisms that reduce opportunity. For example, when one person can initiate, approve, and record a transaction, opportunity is high. When duties are separated and transactions are reviewed independently, the effort and risk of fraud increase, discouraging potential perpetrators and protecting the organization before losses occur.
6. Segregation of duties failures. Segregation of duties means that no single person should control all stages of a transaction, such as authorization, execution, recording, and custody. The exam emphasizes that when these duties are concentrated in one individual, opportunity for fraud increases dramatically. Fraud prevention depends on separating responsibilities so that collusion is required to commit and conceal wrongdoing, making fraud more difficult and riskier. In real organizations, payroll fraud occurs when one employee can create employees, approve time, and release payments. Procurement fraud occurs when one person selects vendors, approves invoices, and processes payments. These control failures create environments where fraud can continue for years without detection. 7. Fraud risk assessment methodology. Fraud risk assessment is the structured process of identifying where and how fraud could occur, who could commit it, and how it could be prevented or detected. The exam emphasizes understanding of identifying inherent risk, assessing control effectiveness, evaluating residual risk, and prioritizing mitigation strategies. In practice, organizations map their processes, identify high-risk areas such as cash handling, procurement, revenue recognition, and management override, then design controls and monitoring based on likelihood and impact. A strong risk assessment allows resources to be focused on the most vulnerable areas. 8. Anti-fraud programs and controls. Anti-fraud programs integrate policies, training, reporting mechanisms, investigations, and disciplinary actions into a unified system. The exam focuses on the components of effective programs:
clear codes of conduct, employee education, internal controls, independent investigations, and consistent enforcement. For example, a company may implement mandatory ethics training, conflict of interest disclosures, vendor due diligence, data analytics, and surprise audits. These measures work together to reduce opportunity, increase perceived detection, and discourage rationalization. 9. Whistleblower systems and hotlines. Whistleblower mechanisms provide confidential channels for reporting suspected misconduct. The exam emphasizes their importance as the most effective detection and deterrence tool, as most occupational fraud is uncovered through tips. Systems must ensure anonymity, protection from retaliation, and proper investigation procedures. In real cases, hotlines allow employees, vendors, and customers to report concerns without fear. Organizations that ignore or punish whistleblowers often allow fraud to grow, while those that protect and respond to tips uncover schemes early and reinforce ethical culture. 10. Role of management versus board oversight. Management is responsible for implementing controls and ethical policies, while the board of directors provides independent oversight. The exam tests understanding that prevention fails when boards are passive, lack independence, or rely solely on management assurances. In practice, boards that actively review risk assessments, internal audit reports, whistleblower activity, and executive behavior create strong deterrence. Weak oversight allows management override, control bypass, and cultural decay, enabling large-scale fraud to develop unchecked.
Quick reminder, if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with anyone who may benefit. Your support really makes a difference. Let's get back to it.
11. Continuous monitoring techniques. Continuous monitoring uses technology and data analytics to automatically review transactions and behaviors in real time or near real time. Instead of waiting for periodic audits, systems continuously scan for anomalies, policy violations, and unusual patterns. The CFE exam emphasizes that continuous monitoring increases the perceived risk of detection, which is one of the strongest deterrents to fraud. In real organizations, software may flag duplicate payments, unusual journal entries, round number transactions, after-hours system access, or sudden changes in vendor banking details. When employees know that activities are constantly monitored, the opportunity and rationalization for fraud are significantly reduced. 12. Behavioral red flags in employees. Behavioral red flags are changes in attitude, lifestyle, or work behavior that may indicate stress, concealment, or unethical intent. The exam teaches that no single behavior proves fraud, but patterns of behavior can signal increased risk and justify closer attention. Examples include living beyond one's means, refusing to take vacations, excessive control over processes, defensiveness when questioned, sudden financial problems, or close relationships with vendors. These signs do not prove guilt, but they help management and fraud examiners identify areas where pressure, opportunity, and rationalization may be present. 13. White-collar crime psychology. White-collar crime psychology examines how educated, trusted individuals rationalize illegal behavior. The exam focuses on understanding entitlement, moral disengagement, gradual escalation, and normalization of deviance. Fraudsters often do not see themselves as criminals. They view their actions as temporary, justified, or necessary. In real cases, executives may convince themselves that manipulating earnings is protecting employees, that bribery is just how business is done, or that taking company money is repayment for being underpaid. Understanding this mindset helps organizations design controls and cultures that attack rationalization, not just opportunity. The ACFE Code of Professional Ethics sets standards of integrity,
objectivity, confidentiality, and professional competence for fraud examiners. The exam tests knowledge of these principles and the consequences of violating them. Fraud examiners must avoid conflicts of interest, protect confidential information, perform work competently, and report findings truthfully. In practice, an examiner who leaks investigation details, shows bias, or exceeds their authority can compromise a case and face disciplinary action, legal liability, and loss of certification. Ethical conduct is essential for credibility and legal defensibility. 15. Measuring the effectiveness of fraud prevention programs. Fraud prevention programs must be evaluated to ensure they actually reduce risk. The exam focuses on metrics such as number of tips, investigation outcomes, loss trends, control testing results, training completion, and cultural assessments. Effective programs evolve based on feedback and risk changes. In real organizations, management may track how quickly tips are resolved, how many control failures are detected, how employee awareness improves, and whether fraud losses decline over time. Continuous evaluation ensures that prevention is not just a policy on paper, but a living, effective system.
This completes Module 4, Fraud Prevention and Deterrence, and with it, the full CFE knowledge framework. In this module, you learned how fraud is prevented before it happens by understanding the fraud triangle and fraud diamond, pressure and rationalization, occupational fraud types, ethical culture, internal controls, segregation of duties, fraud risk assessment, anti-fraud programs, whistleblower systems, management and board oversight, continuous monitoring, behavioral red flags, white-collar crime psychology, the CFE Code of Ethics, and how to measure the effectiveness of prevention systems. Together with the previous modules, you now have the full picture of how fraud is committed, how it is investigated, how it is proven legally, and how it is prevented strategically. On Simple Understanding channel, you will find a complete free CFE course that covers all 4 sections, all modules, and all high-yield topics explained in clear and simple language with practical examples, so you can truly grasp the key concepts, not just memorize them. And if you are preparing seriously for the CFE exam and want a full structured preparation, the link in the description contains our complete CFE study packages. These bundles are designed to make you ready to pass the CFE exam from the first attempt. In the next video, we will move to a full practice session with 100 CFE-style multiple-choice questions covering all 4 sections with detailed explanations for every answer, exactly the way the exam tests you. Before you leave, subscribe to Simple Understanding channel, like this video, and share it with anyone preparing for the CFE. And comment below and tell us what you think about this CFE series and that you want the full practice in revision videos to continue.